This, guys!
We're walking in a winter wonderland, looking like the worst ever Wham tribute act, which can only mean one thing. It's the Food Unwrapped Christmas Special.
How Christmassy is this?
Oh,
I hope you girls have been good.
This year, we've been let loose in Lapland, conveniently located just off the M4, where there's more faux snow than you can shake a cinnamon stick at. As we explore the history and traditions behind some of our favourite festive fare.
I really feel like a kid at Christmas here. Oh.
Coming up on tonight's show.
I find out about the fruit in our most popular seasonal pastry.
What is the difference between a raisin and a sultana?
As I head to Spain to solve the mince pie mystery.
Can you not just do that? No?
No, posible, no.
No?
I visit the spice island of Sri Lanka to discover more about the aromas that conjure up the spirit of Christmas.
This smells like Santa's grotto, doesn't it?
I ask if our traditional Christmas roast has become a bit of a turkey.
Who knew 3 birds and a sausage would look so good?
And love 'em or loathe 'em, I get to grips with the most festive of Christmas veg. Well and truly squished.
This year, we're celebrating a throwback Christmas, unwrapping some of the culinary traditions of all our Christmases past.
That's my first Christmas.
Oh, look, first Christmas.
Look, aren't you a beautiful baby?
And it's making us all a little nostalgic.
That's me and my nan. Gotta say, that is a classic Tebbit. Hey! He still does thumbs up.
This is me and all my brothers and sisters.
Is that you?
That's me.
We might have grown up, but some traditions will always remain the same. And Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without a big mound of mince pies. At the peak of the festive season, we munch our way through a mind-blowing 10,000 mince pies a minute. But what do we know about the insides of these quintessential Christmas treats? There's sultanas and there's raisins. But what exactly is the difference?
Do you know what the difference is between a raisin and a sultana?
So basically a sultana is a dried white grape.
So a raisin is a...
Raisin is basically a wee currant.
So a raisin is a currant.
One is a black grape and the other one's from white grapes.
Oh, right.
When it comes to cooking,
Yeah.
raisins crumble,
Right.
and sultanas have an outer sort of layer that hold their integrity better.
The sultanas are the white grapes.
So what raisin?
And raisins could be prunes.
Could be a what? A prune.
Be prunes.
Really small prune.
Well, those calls were fruitless, so it's time to turn from a dried fruit dunce to a mincemeat master. I'm visiting Barnsley in South Yorkshire to meet an insider at Kipling HQ. Could it be the great man himself?
Hello.
Hi.
You're not Miss Kipling. Who are you?
Right now. My name's Emma.
Emma, nice to meet you, Emma. And you make mince pies?
Yeah.
Amazing. Can we go and have a look?
Yeah, let's
Come on, then.
On your bike, Battenbergs and Viennese whirls, because this month there's only one pastry that matters. And this is where the mince pie magic begins, on an industrial scale.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. It's massive.
Yeah, inside you can fit 4 football pitches.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not really a cottage industry then. This is big business.
Yeah.
This is Europe's largest mince pie factory, spread over 20 acres, producing 160 million of our favourite festive nibbles every year.
Right. So where are we then?
So this is where we blend all of the ingredients in the mincemeat together. We've got fat, sugar, mixed peel and spices in there. Then we add the sultanas and raisins.
There doesn't look a lot of difference, to be honest. So what do they taste like at this stage?
Well, let's try.
Tastes like a raisin.
Yeah. Pretty raisiny.
A bit chew. Okay, so there's more texture to the sultanas.
Yeah, it's juicier.
Yeah.
Millions of sultanas and raisins are used to make 7,000 tonnes of mincemeat every year. The spice blend is always traditional, but gets a subtle tweak from time to time.
So what's in here then?
In there is a mixture of cloves, ginger, nutmeg,
Right, nice.
caraway and coriander.
Hey?
Yes, coriander.
Coriander?
Yeah.
In a mince pie?
Yeah.
You gone mad?
Well, apparently.
Mincemeat's a traditional pie filling dating back to the 15th century when it used to contain mutton or beef. The Victorians started adding dried fruit to their mince pies, which then evolved into the sweet family favourites we eat today.
How long do you cook it for?
About 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Is that all?
It then needs to stand and mature, which helps to develop the flavours. And also the sultanas, they plump up.
Right.
And the spices sort of mellow out and become less harsh.
OK.
Whilst the sultanas absorb the flavours and plump up the mincemeat, the raisins add more sweetness. After 48 hours, the mixture is ready to be piped into the short crust pastry.
So this is where we make pies.
Is it?
It is. The pastry's coming down from upstairs here. Snowflake free to put on here.
Very Christmassy.
And then this clever little system picks them up off the machine band onto the oven band.
I like that. This is all oven?
Yep, so it's 40 metres of oven.
Wow. How long does it take from start to finish?
9 minutes from coming in here to coming out the other end.
This is mince pie heaven. 720 piping hot pastries are cooked in these ovens every minute.
Right, that's it. Can we have a look at them?
So now I know how they're made and why they use sultanas as well as raisins. But what I still haven't grasped is what's going on with the grapes.
Essentially, what is the difference between a raisin and a sultana?
I actually don't know.
You don't know either?
No.
I'm currently confused. Later, I head to the raisin region of Spain to find out how these dried fruit differ.
I would never have thought so much work went into a raisin.
Whilst Matt's on his grape escape, I'm more interested in the spices that go into the mince pies, even though the jury's still out on the coriander.
Got some lovely spices here.
I'm on the streets of Brighton with the Holy Trinity: nutmeg, cinnamon and cloves.
Have a smell?
But what is it about three ancient aromas that have been hardwired into our brains to give us that festive feeling?
What would you associate with these spices? What are you thinking?
Christmas time. Well, it would be Christmas celebrations, wouldn't it? Christmas, a mince pie. Christmas pudding.
That's very mulled wine, isn't it?
Yeah.
So everyone agrees that with the heady blend of cinnamon, cloves and nutmeg, it's beginning to smell a lot like Christmas.
Do you still believe in Santa?
I do now. Making me all giddy. I'm excited for Christmas again. I thought I lost it.
I'm off to Sri Lanka in search of these seasonal spices to seek out their origins and just how far back they go. With its diverse microclimate, Sri Lanka is famed for its spices throughout the world, some of which are endemic to this tropical island paradise.
I'm on my way to find out more about the Christmas spices we love so much. But even my tuk-tuk is Christmassy. Look at his balls.
I've arrived in the capital, Colombo, where the air is thick with the strong aromas from the spice shacks, which are everywhere.
Hi there, how you doing? I'm Jim.
Hi, I'm Shanta, nice to meet you.
Good to see you. This is amazing.
Yeah.
You must have every single herb and spice going.
Yeah.
Can I smell this one? What's this one?
This is a Sri Lankan garam masala.
Right, so you use this in all your curries?
Yeah, that one for use soup and rice, for vegetables, everything used.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
I could definitely use that for a leftover turkey curry, but it's the sweet spices I'm after.
Where's the best place to see all these Christmas spices growing?
You see the very beautiful spice garden.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care. See you later.
First on the Christmas wish list is my favourite, cinnamon.
How you doing?
Hello.
I'm Jim. Nice to meet you.
I'm Sabun. Nice to meet you.
This plantation is owned by one of the largest cinnamon exporters on the island.
Right, let's go in. Look at this. Ah, so here are the guys chopping away. Wow, look at that.
But surely that's not a stick of cinnamon. I'd never get that in a mulled wine.
Whereabouts on the plant is the cinnamon?
Inside bark.
The branches are bundled and taken to the drying room, where the aromatic magic begins.
Wow, the smell. This smells like Santa's grotto, doesn't it?
The outer layer is stripped to reveal the soft inner bark, and that's the bit which is harvested. These huge cinnamon rolls are left to dry in the rafters for up to 8 days, until they're ready to be turned into those familiar festive flakes.
Look at that. That is incredible.
In medieval times, cinnamon was a luxury item and seen as an ostentatious display of wealth. Thankfully, these days it's mass-produced and is much more affordable.
I'll tell you one thing, Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without cinnamon.
Next on the Christmas list, it's cloves. So it's back on the spice trail.
Hello, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Farouz is going to spice up my life with a guided tour of his clove grove.
Wow, it's beautiful, isn't it? All sorts of spice. You got baby spice? You got posh spice?
Yeah.
What about sporty spice?
Not forgetting Old Spice, cloves. Just like cinnamon, they've been around for centuries.
So where are the cloves then?
So every top of the branch, tiny blooms, see small flowers.
So they're the cloves about to develop, and the clove is the flower bud, is that right?
The flower bud. It takes another few months.
So you remove the flower bud before it opens up and then dry it?
Dry it, yeah.
See, at home at Christmas, one of the things I love to do is put these in an orange, put the orange into the mulled wine and let it infuse and slowly simmer it away.
Back in Tudor times, they used to stick cloves in oranges too, but that was to hide any rotting smells. It's that pungent, familiar smell of cloves that makes it inherently Christmas. Later, I find out how a hidden element in one spice could provide some serious Christmas cheer.
If you take a big dose, you will get the feeling like you have taken a couple of shots like whiskey.
Coming up, why have one bird for Christmas lunch when you can have 64?
49 yellow hammers, 15 sparrows.
And a sprouting controversy.
They don't seem to have been scored. There's no cross on them.
We don't believe that you need to.
Back in our make-believe wonderland, and guess who's got roped into another big family tradition? Peeling and prepping enough veg to feed the 5,000. Everyone has got their own little ritual, but the greens giving us the most grief are Brussels sprouts.
To score or not to score when it comes to sprouts?
I'm a scorer, definitely. It makes them taste better.
You've got to score them, yeah. I mean, especially when they're big old ones like that.
Traditionally, the reason we score sprouts with a cross is to help them cook evenly. But if that finishing touch is so important, why don't the supermarkets do it for us in their ready-to-cook versions?
Your peeled Brussels sprouts, do I need to score those?
I don't like them, so I know absolutely nothing about them.
Oh, if you want to store them.
No, not store them, score them. You know, I've got to make a cross at the base of each sprout.
Oh, okay.
So do you think I need to score sprouts?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jingle bells.
Yeah, jingle bells,
To score or not to score? I've come to one of Britain's largest sprout producers in Lincolnshire to get to the bottom of this crisscross mystery. It's already very windy, and that's before anyone's eaten a single sprout.
Hello, used to be Andy.
Hi, morning.
I'm Helen, good to meet you.
Andy and his team work for 10 days solidly in the run-up to Christmas to make sure there's enough sprouts for dinner tables across the land. We eat more of the tiny brassicas per head than any other country in Europe.
We'll harvest about 2,500 tonnes of sprouts.
How many Brussels sprouts would that be? Millions?
Yeah, 150 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so everyone can have sprouts for Christmas.
Brussels are named after the Belgian capital, where they were first cultivated in the Middle Ages. We've been growing and harvesting them here in the UK since the end of the 19th century.
How do they work then?
There's a circular saw that cuts them off at ground level, and then the guys will take that stalk and feed it through some blades that take all the sprouts off the stalk, and all the rubbish goes back onto the field. We can have a go on this one if you're up for
yes,
the challenge.
Yes, please. I am up for the challenge.
It's time to flex my muscles on those tiny green Brussels.
Ready?
Yeah. This end in?
Yeah, right into the middle.
Oh my God, it's not as easy as it looks. Okay, second attempt.
Oh, we snapped that one, look.
It's not going very well so far.
With some conviction, straight in. There we go.
Okay, I feel like I'm on a roll now.
We're getting it.
Once harvested, the sprout buds are boxed and taken to the processing plant.
This is where he puts the sprouts in.
Nice, so these have come straight from the farm, these sprouts?
Yeah, straight from the field.
First, the sprouts are sorted by hand. Then they're filtered by size and packed by an optical grader, which takes hundreds of 360-degree photos every second. The duff-discoloured ones get discarded, so only the finest green sprouts will hit our shelves.
So the sprouts coming down into the packets, and then the final pack.
So these are on their way to Christmas dinners around the country. But there's one thing, looking closely at these, they don't seem to have been scored. There's no cross on them.
We don't believe that you need to. We believe that they cook perfectly well without the crust.
What? This festive faux pas will cause friction in my family.
That's not what my grandma told me, so it's you versus my grandma, I'm afraid.
Well, I don't want to say anything about your grandma. It's a complete myth that you need to score the bottom of a sprout.
I reckon we should test out the myth then.
OK?
Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
OK.
Later, to resolve this eternal Christmas conundrum, I turn to cutting-edge technology to create a scientific squash.
I feel like it's going to let out a squeal.
Earlier, I visited a mince pie factory and discovered that mincemeat ain't mincemeat without both raisins and sultanas. However, what I couldn't work out was the difference between the two.
I actually don't know.
You don't know either?
No.
I need to get to the bottom of this dried fruit enigma, starting with sultanas. And for reasons best known to the production team, I've come along to a tannin salon to meet engineering egghead Chris Clark.
Chris, how you doing?
Very well, very well.
Why are we here? I'm going to show you how sultanas are made with the help of a very special tanning lotion.
Brilliant, let's go.
Right, let's do this.
Okay, what are we doing then, Chris?
So, we're going to use these grapes here, which are called Thompson seedless grapes. Okay, now these are the main grapes used to make sultanas.
And is there a reason that those varieties are used?
Well, you don't want seeds in a sultana, that's one thing. And the other is you need this nice green skin and the certain amount of sweetness that is in a Thompson seedless grape.
Okay, so it's an
when
all-rounder.
Exactly. When it shrinks down, it goes nice and golden in colour, and that's what you want from a sultana.
Right.
So, sultanas are made from white grapes. Chris is scaling down the industry process. Before drying, sultanas are treated with a solution of potassium carbonate, olive oil and water.
Now what we need to do is put some grapes in it and get them nicely coated so we can then start the drying process.
The solution cracks the grape skin, allowing water to evaporate more quickly in the hot sun. A shorter drying process keeps the sultanas juicy and gives them a lighter colour.
So what we need to do is speed up the process with a special piece of kit I brought along, which is this dehydrator.
So how long are we waiting?
I hope you've got some time to kill, because it's going to be about maybe 30 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Or I could show you one I made earlier.
Okay.
All right, let's do that.
That might be more
instead.
advisable.
It's essentially the food unwrapped version of fake and bake.
And you can see these actually look appreciably like sultanas, which
That's
is pretty
quite
cool.
amazing, actually.
So with Chris's help, I've sussed that sultanas are made by treating seedless green grapes with this alkaline solution. Now I need some revelations about raisins. I'm jetting off to sunnier climes to get some answers. Arriving in Malaga, I'm heading to the El Borge area, known for its rolling mountains.
So we're half an hour into the hills just above Malaga, and this town is a very special town because some people call it Raisin Town.
The locals are so proud of their crinkly creations, they celebrate with a raisin festival every year.
Just had a spot lunch in Raisin Town in a lovely little bar. And look, when you order a coffee, they even give you a bunch of raisins. Don't get in that in my local coffee shop.
Full of grape expectations, I've come to meet Salvador Martin, who farms raisins, using a traditional method that hasn't changed for centuries. It's fair to say that this artisan-ware farming is his raison d'etre.
Hola, Matt.
Hola, bienvenido a la comarca de la Sarquía.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully Salvador can show me the difference between sultanas and raisins, but in the spirit of Christmas, I've brought him and his family a token of my appreciation.
This is very, very traditional in my country. We got any more? You like?
Y no me gusta la pasa.
Typical, but at least Salvador's daughter Maria won't be eating into the profits of the family business.
Possibly packed my worst possible shoes for this.
What goes up has to come down. Maybe this wasn't the day to wear slip-on loafers, and the crew aren't doing much better either.
Ridiculous shit. He's a bit more adept at these hills than me.
Esta uva es uva moscatel.
So all the raisins in this region are made from the same type of seeded green muscatel grape. Because raisins are darker than sultanas, I was sure these grapes would be black.
Salvador, why do you only use white grapes?
Utilizar uva negra se quedaría, al secarse se quedan sin pulpa y se queda una uva seca sin sabor, sin nada. Dale un poco duro, un poquito de trabajo.
Yeah,
Más.
Where? There?
It was the early Egyptians who first brought the grape to this part of Spain.
Why do I need to carry it on my head?
After lugging them up and down these hills, building the pyramids must have been a breeze. But how are these juicy green grapes turned into wrinkly dark raisins?
So, what are we doing here then?
Aquí estamos tumbándolas, tendiéndolas al sol, pero para que poco a poco, con el efecto del sol, se vayan secando naturalmente y se conviertan en pasas.
So this is just all natural. There's no factory process, there's no chemicals, there's no...
Nothing. Solo el sol, el viento, tiempo y paciencia.
After being air-dried for 4 weeks, these once green grapes are almost mince pie ready.
Sí, coge unos cuantos.
And then what?
Ahora picarla una a una.
Can you not just do that? No?
No posible, no posible.
It turns out that if the raisins are plucked from the stalk, it will tear the fruit, making it susceptible to mould.
This is so labour-intensive. I would never have thought so much work went into a raisin.
Tú no ganarías ni para la comida.
So my visit to Raisin Town has wrinkled out the truth. Both sultanas and raisins are made from green grapes.
You're moving much quicker than I am.
But the main difference is how they're dried. Sultanas are treated before a shorter drying process compared to raisins, which get to kick back in the sun for longer.
¿Quieres agua?
Water? Yes, please.
It's been hard work, but I think I'm starting to look the part of the Malagan man of the soil.
We love a bit of tradition and nostalgia here at Food Unwrapped. Not that we need an excuse to reminisce about our childhood Christmases.
Growing up, did you have a real tree or a fake tree?
Real.
Oh, there's part.
Lucky you, we had a fake one, a plastic one.
Presents, did you ever go looking for them? And if you did, did you peek?
Yes.
Yes. But what about the traditional roast?
Does it have to be turkey on Christmas Day?
For me, because I rear turkeys, yes.
Yeah, it's traditional, isn't it? Wouldn't be Christmas without a turkey.
I'm not so sure. Some of us could be doing something a bit different this year. The supermarkets are offering more multi-bird roasts than ever before at a very reasonable rate. But is this really a new foodie fad? I'm off to meet food historian Ivan Day to find out. Hello, Ivan.
Hello, Kate.
Lovely to meet you.
And you too.
Oh, are we having lunch? Whatever is under there looks very exciting. Now, Ivan, I've heard that you are the man to talk to about multi-bird roasts. You can buy them now in the supermarket, but surely there isn't anything that is more traditional than a turkey.
Well, I brought with me one of the oldest English Christmas traditional dishes, which is this.
That's the biggest pie I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, inside there is a turkey, a goose, a duck, a chicken, a partridge and a pheasant lurking inside. It's a Christmas pie. And the earliest recipe we have is from about 1747.
Christmas pies were popular with the landed gentry, who used a variety of birds raised on their own country estates.
This is an account of the mother of all multi-bird pies that was ever made in England. And the contents included 2 geese, 4 tame ducks, 2 starlings, 12 partridges, 15 woodcocks, 49 yellow hammers, 15 sparrows, and it weighed 22 stone. That is, in fact, a mass extinction.
Oh, my goodness. So how much would a pie like this have cost?
I mean, the ingredients alone have cost over £200.
OK, plus labour, what are we looking at, 600 quid?
Yeah. Bit more, it might do.
£600? Do we get to look inside of it today?
Yeah, sure.
That is very exciting. The Georgians baked their partridge in a pie treat to preserve it. At Christmas, they'd cut the top off, feast on the cold filling, and by putting the lid back on again, a pie like this would have seen them through the whole 12 days of Christmas.
That is spectacular, isn't it? So I guess this is the original version of all those multi-bird roasts that we're seeing in the supermarket now.
The multi-bird roast that you get in a supermarket is a modern American tradition. The turducken was invented about 30 years ago,
Turducken.
meaning turkey, duck, chicken. Turducken. And it's become really established as a kind of Thanksgiving speciality. And of course, the supermarket multi-bird roasts that we get now in England are based very much on that very recent American invention.
Interesting. So these 3-bird turducken roasts that seem to be having a moment right now aren't really a British tradition at all. I've ducked into this South London butcher's to get to the bottom of this fine feathered mystery.
How are you?
Look at all of these birds. You're the perfect person for me to talk to you about 3-bird roasts. Do you sell a lot of those?
Well, they're getting popular, yes. And sometimes you're feeding a lot of people. Not everyone wants turkey. And it's just a nice combination of a mixture of different flavours going on, yeah. So, and fashion, I suppose. You know, sometimes people buy with a fashion and what's trendy.
What do you sell a turducken for?
Our birds are all free-range, slow-reared, so you're going to be paying for a premium for the meat because it is a premium product. But if we were going to do a small one, you'd be looking in the region of around about £125 in money, and that gives you a whole sort of 5-kilo-ish turkey, a 2-kilo-ish duck, and around about 1.8-kilo chicken.
And how many would that feed?
You'd feed, I would think, a good 15 people on that.
So very much a high-end product. But I've heard that this year one of the supermarkets is offering a game bird roast. Now that sounds even fancier, is it?
I don't know about you, but when I think of game and I think guinea fowl and partridge, pheasant, I think luxury. How much is your game roast?
You'd probably be looking in a region of around about sort of £25 for a guinea fowl, pheasant, partridge. Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all, no.
Not bad.
So you don't feed as many people.
It's not easy to bone out all those birds. What about supermarket?
I'd say probably about half the price of our one, about £12.50, £15 each.
He knows his stuff. It's on sale for £13.
That is a bargain. You can buy that whole roast for 13 quid, pop it in the oven, Christmas Day is sorted. How do they do it so cheap?
Do you know, I think you'd have to ask them that question.
Interesting. Later, I take a peek behind the scenes to find out how one major supermarket has managed to make a half-price 3-bird game roast.
Right, show me how it's done. Let's do it.
Coming up, I spice up my life in Sri Lanka.
Look at that. But the colour.
And sprouts under pressure. Well and truly squished.
Welcome back to the Food Unwrapped Christmas special, where we're tapping into the tradition surrounding our Yuletide fair.
You pull that.
It's no joke.
So, what do you call people who are scared of Father Christmas? Claustrophobic. Claustrophobic.
Before I drive the team crackers...
Merry Christmas, everybody!
I'm back on the spice trail in Sri Lanka, where I'm hoping to discover why spices from the other side of the world have been part of our seasonal celebrations for so long.
This is amazing.
Earlier, I discovered that cinnamon is made from a layer of inner bark.
This smells like Santa's grotto, doesn't it?
And that sweet-scented cloves are made from dried flower buds.
There the cloves about to develop.
There's just one fragrant spice that's eluded me.
Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Gimhan.
We've driven northeast to a nutmeg plantation in Al Kadua, a small village in the heart of the country.
So where are all these nutmeg trees then?
There are nutmeg trees all over the place.
So that is a nutmeg? How bizarre. It looks like a nectarine.
They might look big and juicy, but the nutmeg is hidden until the completely ripe fruit splits to reveal the spicy seed inside.
So this is one here. I mean, it looks incredible. Look at that. But the colour.
Yeah, this is the only spice in the world which gives 2 spices in one fruit, you see? Because this is the maize, the outer cover.
So the fruit actually produces 2 spices. The vibrant outer coating is mace, but I'm more interested in the nut underneath.
If I can remove it, just pull it apart. Oh, wow. The nutmeg.
This is the nutmeg.
God, it's got
That's right.
it's got a nice scent to it.
World production of nutmeg is estimated at around 12,000 tonnes a year, and it's been used in cooking and medicine since medieval times. In Elizabethan England, nutmeg was believed to ward off the plague, sending prices sky high.
During the Elizabethan time, this was much valuable than gold.
And I suppose at Christmas time, very valuable spice, exotic, was the thing to have. So in those days, money really did grow on trees.
That's right.
But Gimhan has another theory about why nutmeg gives us Christmas cheer.
If you take a big dose, you will get the feeling like you have taken 2 big couple of shots like whiskey or something.
So you feel a little bit tipsy, a little bit merry. So that's where the Christmas cheer might have come from.
That's right.
To find out more about the science behind this intoxicating nut,
Yodelay-yo.
I've traversed the globe and slipped back into the UK to meet up with a spice specialist.
Hi, Gareth. How are you doing?
Not bad, mate, and yourself?
Very good, very good.
Chemist Dr. Gareth Cave has heaps of nutmeg knowledge.
So, Gareth, I've been to Sri Lanka. I've looked at the nutmeg, and apparently that gives you the Christmas cheer. Is that true?
Tell you what, let's do an experiment and see what you think.
The crew aren't feeling the festive frolics today, and it's all gone a bit bar humbug.
Right. You like nutmeg?
I do.
You like nutmeg?
I love it.
Let's see if a few slurps of nutmeg and coffee is enough to make these grouchy Grinches crackers about Christmas.
Get it down, you boys. And what we'll do, after your well-deserved coffee break, I'm going to see how much cheer you have.
According to wise man Gareth, it's all down to a chemical found in this magical little spice.
Nutmeg contains myristicin. What it is, it's a natural organic compound, a phenol, and that's what's responsible for the flavour and the smells, the aromas. If we have a look at a single nutmeg there, the amount of myristicin that's actually extracted from that is a tiny amount.
So that's the amount of myristicin you get for one nutmeg?
For a single nutmeg, yeah.
So what effect does the myristicin have on the body?
So the myristicin has got some psychotropic effects and hallucinogenic effects associated to it.
Incredible. So this festive favourite is capable of actually altering our state of mind.
Slows down the neuron transmissions, and then that gives you that relaxed feeling, if you like.
So really, if you put nutmeg on your Christmas tipple, it will give you that, hey, it's Christmas.
Well, you'd have to have quite a lot of it.
Whilst the sprinkle is a flavoursome treat, more than a tablespoon of nutmeg can bring on unpleasant side effects. That's the elf and safety bit out of the way. Time to check back on the crew.
You've had your coffee with the nutmeg on. How do you feel?
Feel extremely cheery, Jimmy.
More cheery than normal?
Yeah.
Ready to hang out your stocking?
Yeah.
OK, what about you? Do you feel like, you know, wrapping some presents and ho-ho-hoing?
Yeah, I'm in the spirit, I'm in the mood.
So, is that a real effect or is there a placebo effect because it's cold and I've had some hot coffee?
The amount of myristicin in the nutmeg is so small that you wouldn't actually have any physiological effect from there.
Right.
It's more to do with the association of the smells, the flavours and the textures of Christmas. And so we associate that with the presents and family and all the good food. Put those all together at this time of year, and that's what gives you that Christmas cheer.
So the myristicin gives us a sensory reaction, and that's why nutmeg can make us feel Christmassy.
So to get that Christmas ho-ho-ho, a little nutmeg goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Back to those tiny green balls of fun, Brussels sprouts. I've been struggling to get to the root of whether this traditional veg needs to be scored or unscored before cooking.
But there's one thing, looking closely at these, there's no cross on them.
We don't believe that you need to.
If they're left unscored, I want to know if the whole sprout cooks properly and if it makes any difference to the way they taste.
Andy, meet Paul, our texture expert.
Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Texture analyst Paul Brown is going to test which one provides the best eating experience. My crisscross sprouts against Andy's uncrossed one.
Right,
OK.
let's put this to the test.
You ready?
OK, in they go.
In they go.
We're boiling our sprouts for exactly the same length of time. Meanwhile, Andy's got a more traditional theory on why we might cross our sprouts in the first place.
When you do the research, even back in medieval times, there was thoughts that there was demons in sprouts and that it was a religious thing to put a cross on before preparing them to get rid of the demon.
So when it comes to preparing sprouts, it seems the devil really is in the detail. Maybe it's to ward off bad smells later on.
Right, so how long have these had now?
Yeah, so 9 minutes is what we'd recommend.
Right, so let's get them out then. Ooh, smells lovely. Smells like Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, there you go, Paul.
First up, my grandma's method, scored sprouts.
We're going to place the Brussels sprout in the texture analyzer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to squash it.
OK. Do we need to stand back for this bit?
No, you should be all right.
Paul's special squashing machine is used by manufacturers to perfect food quality.
Wow, look at that.
By mimicking the amount of pressure it takes to achieve the optimum bite.
Oh, poor little sprout. I feel like it's going to let out a squeal. Well and truly squished.
OK, Paul, there's my unscored sprout.
Now Paul compares the amount of pressure needed to give the au naturel sprout a satisfying squash.
Right, come on then, tell us who's got the best sprouts. Is it my grandma's scored sprouts or Andy's unscored ones?
OK, so the scored sprouts came in at 3.5 kilograms of force, and the unscored, they're just under 5 kilograms. So they're more
So mine were
al dente.
squidgier.
Yeah,
So my sprouts
softer.
were squidgier.
By scoring it, the hot water is getting further into the Brussels sprouts and making it softer, more squishy.
So by putting the score, the big cross on my sprout, I'm actually allowing more water into the sprout, which makes it soggy.
So, can save some time at Christmas by not bothering scoring the sprouts, just straight into the pan and don't overcook them.
But I love the old tradition of scoring, and I love a squishier sprout. So for a softer sprout, score them, and if you prefer them al dente, then don't. It all comes down to personal preference.
Coming up, I discover the spirit of Christmas in cherry chocks.
They're really good, though. And I ask how supermarkets can sell 3-game roasts so cheap.
There's a lot of meat in there. There's a lot of skill in there. There's a lot of labour in there. How on earth do you do it?